Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Mr. Ikechukwu Ikeji joins us next. He's a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning. Well, looking at this fight against corruption, the judges, many still looking to see, keeping an eye in the courts. Is there any news of them being arraigned? But who knows when that will pop up. But for you, what stands out in this whole scenario?
To me, what stands out is that there is an attempt to erode judicial independence.
How so?
How so? You see, the principle of judicial independence from origin, from its common law origin, presupposes a self-regulatory judiciary. That simply means that judiciary should be excluded from all forms of control. The only controls that are available to the judiciary should be in terms of laws that they are empowered to interpret.
As well as obey and abide by.
As well as obey and abide by. Another issue that stands out for me is that the SSS, properly so called, not the DSS, has derailed from its intended functions.
How?
And the way to appreciate it is that as a lawyer, we define situations from the interpretative perspective. In other words, when we are asked questions, what exactly are the powers of a body, an organization, we look at the law that establishes that organization and we interpret the laws, the words used in the laws to answer the question. If you look at the historical development of the SSS, properly so called, I'll be using SSS because the DSS is not known to law. If you look at the historical development, evolution of the SSS, you will realize that it was established in 1948 as department of the Nigerian police under the office of the Inspector General of Police, specially established for counterintelligence. Mark that word, counterintelligence. It remained a department of the police called Special Branch until 1976, when Murtala Mohammed regime, by Decree 19 of that 1976, extricated it out of the Nigerian police and made it a separate organ and named it Nigerian Security Organization, still whose purpose was strictly counterintelligence. Gather intelligence, gather information bordering on national security and make the information available to the government to act on. That was the purpose of the SSS and DSS. Now, in 1986, the Ibrahim Babangida regime, by another decree of 1986 called Decree 19, which is now an act, enacted the Nigerian Securities Decree, now known as the Nigerian Securities Act, where the NSO was now broken into three parts. The SSS was one of the parts. Under that act, Section 2, Subsection 3C of that act, I hope I'm getting my citations correct, but the purpose of what I'm trying to say is that that act, Subsection 2.3, gave functions to the DSS, not outside of the original functions of the SSS from the National Security Organization from the Special Branch era.
So the NSO,
No.
when the NSO was broken, you're saying it was broken into three.
Three.
The NIA,
Yes.
the SSS, as well as, what's the third one? Because I'm trying to look at the section 2.1 that, subsection 2, which...
Defense Intelligence Agency.
Good. So we have three that came out of the old NSO.
The SSS retained its functions of gathering of intelligence. Now, we need to get it. What stands out for me in all of this is an attempt to create a new role, a new function for the SSS under this section 2, subsection 3, that says that the president can determine, or the National Assembly can determine the roles of the SSS.
Can we say that this is not going to be so difficult to determine? Because if many say this happens to be, or appears to be, a new terrain, they haven't tested it in the laws, if they take this kind of matter, isn't it the time, or isn't it the kind of scenario or case that they can proceed to court and actually determine whether or not they are sticking to the required regulations of the law?
Absolutely. Section 6 of the 1999 Constitution, no matter how much we don't believe in the 1999 Constitution, it is still the de facto law, the de facto ground norm. Section 6 thereof empowers the courts to look into any matter.
Because many have also argued that they are within their bounds or their rights to carry out this.
Absolutely not. That is an argument to buy sentiments. Argumentum misericordiam. That is just argument to sentiment, populist argument. The EFCC is there. The Special Fraud Unit is there of the Nigerian Police. The ICPC is there.
What is
the DSS. Now, I was tracing the history. If you get it.
Can
Yes.
you add this part?
Yes.
Are you also forgetting that raid, if they also tell you, look, we carried out this raid in conjunction with the police, isn't the police within their rights to also embark on that kind of scenario?
If it was led by the police, who made the announcements? It was the SSS that made the announcements, that they did it. We must listen to them. It wasn't the police that made that.
So does that presuppose that they who issued or did the press briefing are the ones who led?
That is it. Perhaps the police may have accompanied them. We don't know, or any other Nigerian soldiers. But we must follow the processes as they are laid down by the law. In good intention, no matter how altruistic, most tyrannies arose out of altruistic intentions.
Okay. We'll bring in another perspective when we return from this break. Don't go away.